A warm welcome to you all to this session. Today, in this video, I will be discussing about the specifications and sequence of activities in construction. First we see about the specification. The aims of specification is to clearly mention the quality of materials, method of execution of the work and in the workmanship. Specifications are the written requirements for a material, product or service for a proposed project like a building, bridge or machine. To work as a guide to the contractors as well as supervisor staff for quality execution of work. To facilitate contractor to procure quality material, adequate tools and appliance, machinery and plant for the work in time. To facilitate to quote its rates for the work. The next one is the type of specification, general specification and detailed specification. So what is general specification? General specification is to give general and broad idea of the whole work with the description of its items in brief, help in preparation of estimate and also appears in notes in plans of the work. Second one is detailed specification. It has become a part of contractual document. It can further be divided into two parts. General conditions of contract. Second one is technical specification. General conditions of contract which covers general conditions of the work. In technical specification, this gives in detail the technical aspect like quality of material, method of execution of works and so on. The next one is purpose of specification. Specifications should be describe the type and quality of every product required for the project. The specifications should describe the requirements for fabrication, erection, application, installation and finishing. It should describe the quality of workmanship necessary for the project. It includes all phases of creation and installation starting with manufacturing, fabrication, application, installation, finishing and adjustment. Don't miss any activity under any item of work. Such loopholes shall be advantageous to other party. While framing specifications of certain items, the norms of value engineering and value analysis should be applied. They are good decision making tools when number of alternatives are available to do a job. Here we can see the sequence of activities and construction coordination. First one is planning, scheduling, site clearance, job layout, temporary sheds, setting out works marking, earthwork, foundation, basement. Let's see one by one. So the first one is the planning stage. So in planning stage, the objective of planning is to determine the types, number and duration of use of different equipments required on the project, to determine the categories and number of laborers required and periods during which they will be needed to work out financial system. It is considered as a precondition measures before attending any development program. Particularly, it is more important in the following area. When the fund available are limited, the total requirement is much higher. There are two types of planning. First one is job planning and second one is technical. In job planning, after the completion of a job decision, each has to be planned further with the nature of execution, duration of the job and management of resources. In technical planning, after the administrative approval of a project, technical planning is to be done by the engineer. It is carried out so as to satisfy the finalization of design, provide detailed drawing and specification to be adapted. Next one is scheduling. In any project, the sequence through which the project is to develop should be decided. The requirement is met in a systematic manner by scheduling and programming. Scheduling in construction project is the process of listing of tasks, activities, milestones with a planned start and finish date. It not only considers the main construction activity but also the supporting elements such as labor, material, equipment and expenditure. Various types of schedulings are given below. First one is construction and second one labor, material, equipment and then expenditure. It helps engineers to complete the project in time and within the budget. It shows the duration and order of various construction activities. It deals with the aspect of when to do it. It is the fitting of the final work plan to a time scale. So first process in the site is site clearance. Site clearance might include the clearance of rubbish, topsoil, all trees, stems, bushes, roots, down timber, rotten wood, rubbish, debris, humus, swamp materials and any other vegetation or unacceptable materials. It is very difficult to handle equipments and the material in the presence of trees, grass and weeds. Presence of these materials along with earth material lead to settlement at a later stage. The process of site clearance is generally undertaken as a part of enabling works carried out to prepare a site for construction. Traveler doors equipped with special cleaning blades are the best equipment needed for site clearance. Type of vegetation, condition of soil, topography, quantity of clearance needed and the purpose for which cleaning is done are the factors to be considered in planning the sequence of operation. Here we can see the process of site clearance. All types of waste present on the site must be removed safely and efficiently. If there is any contaminated waste or potentially hazardous substances present, professional disposal experts must be consulted to safely handle them. Here in first image which shows the site clearance and the second image which shows the leveling of the site for the construction work. So the next one is job layout. It can be defined as a site drawing of the proposed construction showing the location of entry, exit, temporary services, material stores and stocks, plant or equipments and site offices. It is prepared to promise that work proceeds smoothly without any obstruction. Overall economy of any project can be achieved by through coordination in planning of services and the construction plant. Such coordinate work will frequently lead to modifications in plant facilities and in layout of services. Next one is temporary shed. So what is a temporary shed? The project has to be completed in a short period facilities that cannot be made permanent. Thus, only temporary sheds made out of sheets are provided with adequate safety. Facilities like drinking water, sleeping areas, dwelling areas, office, stores and all are to be provided in the temporary sheds. However, depending upon the period of construction, the sheds are made big or small with additional strength and durability. The sheds should withstand all the weather conditions. That is an important factor. Next one is marking. Marking is the setting out of building works. It consists of two operations: setting out central line, setting out trenches. Setting out the building outline, this task is usually undertaken once the site has been cleared and reduced level excavation work is finished. It is usually the responsibility of the contractor to set out the building using the information provided by the designer or architect. It should be carried out by competent persons and all their work thoroughly checked, preferably by different personnel and by a different method. Next one is the image which shows the marking and diagonal checking. In order to carry out the construction exactly according to the plan, the outline, excavation and centerline walls are to be marked. The first task is setting out the buildings is to establish the baseline to which all the setting out can be related. The baseline very often coincides with the building line, which is a line whose position on site is given by the local authority, in front of which no development is permitted. Using Pythagoras theorem, then the diagonal can be checked. The next process is earthwork. Excavation of foundation can be done by manually or with the help of special mechanical equipments. Before the earthwork is started, the whole area where the work is to be done should be cleared of grass, roots of trees and unwanted debris. It should be carried out exactly in accordance with the dimensions shown on the drawings or any other dimension as decided by the site in charge. Sides of the trenches shall be vertical. Sides of the trenches shall be vertical and its bottom shall be perfectly levelled, both longitudinally and transversely. Where the soil is soft, loose or slushy, the trench shall be widened for allowing steps on either side or the sides sloped or showed up. Here we can see some of the manual equipments for the purpose of excavation. Manually it can be done by the help of following equipments: spade or shovel, pickaxe, crowbar, rammer, wedge, boning rod, sledgehammer, basket, iron pan, line and pin. During excavation, if rocks or rocky soils are found, they shall be levelled as far as possible and the small spaces which are different to level shall be filled in with concrete. The next, mechanical excavation. Mechanically, the excavation can be done by the following machineries. In this slide, we are going to see what are all the structural elements at the substructure level. Here we can see the image of footing, plinth beam and column. So, a column is a structural element that transmits through compression the weight of the structure above to other structural elements below. Columns are frequently used to support beams and arches on which the upper parts of walls or ceilings rest. Next, we can see the plinth beam. At the ground level, it is a reinforced concrete beam constructed between walls and its foundation. It is provided to prevent extension or propagation of cracks from the foundation into the wall above when the foundation suffers from settlement. The next one is footing. Footing is a part of foundation which is constructed with concrete or brickwork masonry and acts as a base to the floor and column walls. The main function of footing is to transfer the vertical loads directly to the soil. Next one is column formwork. Here we can see the image of the column formwork. The column formwork systems now available are normally modular in nature and allow quick assembly and erection on site while minimizing labor and crane time. The forms made of steel or aluminium, sometimes with a timber form. It can be adjusted on site to give different column sizes. So next one is beam formwork. Formworks for beam takes the form of a three-sided box. In the image we can see it is a three-sided box which is supported and propped in the correct position and to the desired level. Next we can see the slab formwork. It essentially supports the weight of the concrete during the curing process and when the concrete slab is positioned on permanent supports. Next one is reinforcement. In the picture, here we can see the reinforcement arrangement in beams and columns. The stirrups. Stirrups refers to a closed loop of a reinforcement bar. Its main purpose is to hold the reinforcement bars together in an RCC structure. The term tie is used to define the transverse reinforcement provided in the column where the primary mode of load transfer is compression. This is the derivation of unit weight of reinforcement. This is formulated to find the unit weight of reinforcement d squared divided by 162. Here the d represents the diameter of the rod. So by substituting the diameter of the rod, either 8 mm or 12 mm or 10 mm rod, we can get the unit weight of the reinforcement. The next one, office work, BOQ and estimation, bill of quantities and estimation, tender, drafting, designing, architectural and structural, and then material procurement. The last one is Vastu, for plans. So what is Vastu? Some people will follow Vastu. Vastu Shastra could be termed an observatory science. Even people who don't believe in Vastu Shastra have some intuitive learnings towards it. It is an ancient science. Basically, it depends upon the sunlight and air flow. It is also called science of architecture. The Vastu may varies from the face of the house directions. The change in the direction gives the change in the Vastu for the building or house. Face in the sense, if it is faced in the north, it is termed as a north facing. If it is termed in the northwest, it can be termed as a northwest facing. So, like that, the change in the direction gives the change in the Vastu for the building or house. Hope you all understand what are the sequence of activities in construction, specifications, office works, and then Vastu. Thank you all for your pleasant listening. Thank you.